make some pine pitch. I ran out making this hopper basket for my stone mortar. And look at that little birthday candle. I think these would make a great addition to a survival kit, but I don't know where that came from. So pine pitch is 2 or 3 things. It's beeswax, the least important, which you can opt out of. It is pine pitch and charcoal. So I've got the pine pitch heating in a little pot by the fire, and little beeswax in there. I think a ratio of about a quarter beeswax to pine pitch, because I want a pretty flexible pitch mix, but I need to add some charcoal. So I just pulled some burnt mesquite out of the fire. It's a little muddy, but it should be fine. I'm just gonna scrape this off. It's better to have some pretty, it's best if you have a whole charcoal piece like that. I need to make sure both of my cameras are capturing this. If you break apart the charcoal, it should be black all the way through. And you're going to want equal parts pine pitch and charcoal. That's good. Yeah, some good stuff in here. I think this is mesquite charcoal. Should be about enough. If it's not fully carbonized, you won't be able to powder it. So I see a chunk in here that's not fully carbonized, and I'm just gonna have to pull that out. There's another section of this. Add in more for the ratio. I'm sorry if you can't hear me. There's always so much traffic noise next to my house, and plus now for weeks they've had the construction crew building bulldozing an entire greenbelt, 35 acres, just across the creek from me. I live about 1 street away from that greenbelt. I made a whole video about it if you're interested. So let me check on, this is the fire. I've got my pine pitch. I don't know if you can see that there. I need to put this more in the fire. There we go. Let that melt. And then, oops, sorry. What's up, people? Didn't see comments. How's it going? I'm making pine pitch, which is what you use to attach like a knife blade to a handle. It's like the glue used in Paleolithic technology. This one's actually coming apart a little bit. I did this years ago, and you should have a sinew wrap around it. And I just never did that with this. I thought it just looked cleaner, but if you heat it up, it becomes like a liquid or a paste. Here's some more pine pitch that was also used to haft this. The process of hafting is just putting pitch or putting like a blade on a handle or something. But there's some more pine pitch. It's the glue used by Paleolithic peoples around the world until more recently. I mean, there's different types of glues, but this is the most common one. And it's just a really good adhesive. And you really only need 2 ingredients for it, which is pine pitch, or really just the sap of a conifer. For example, you can use juniper sap, but I'm using actual pine sap. And powdered charcoal is the second main ingredient. So that's what I'm doing now. Pulled some charcoal out of the fire and scraped some off. You need to make sure it's, charcoal all the way through. And then you powder it, and then you mix that with the pine pitch, and it makes it less sticky, which, you want it to stick, but it's kind of like when it dries, it just all becomes solid mass. So you don't want it to be like tacky. It provides more structural stability because there's also little fibers. And another ingredient you can add to it is beeswax. And you only do beeswax if you want it to be flexible. And the more beeswax, the more flexible it is. So I've actually added a little bit of beeswax to this mix because I'll be using it to attach this hopper basket to a stone mortar I just made. And I feel like that's going to have a lot of movement and play, and I want to be able to take it on and off, so I don't want it to be too crumbly. So if there's no beeswax, like this is a very low beeswax mix, and it gets kind of crumbly, and I don't want that to fall apart and get into my mix. But yeah, thanks, Jimmy. This is a pretty sick knife. I made this out of a glass table, old glass table, but that's actually a really easy material to nap because it's already so thin, which is why you can see it's perfectly straight. Any naturally napped knife, which I don't really have on hand. I've made a ton. I just brought this one out because the hafting needs to be redone. But any natural stone, it's going to have some curviness to it. A lot of modern nappers will slice actual like rocks, like flint rocks or obsidian, into thin slices like this in order to nap really thick knives like this. But it's kind of really hard to do without first using a grinding tool or a table saw or rock saw, which is so if you ever see a flint knife, check to see if it's perfectly straight, and then it's a slab napped is what we call it, meaning napped from a thin slab of rock. But I'm trying to make this pine pitch in order to attach this hopper basket to the mortar to prevent a lot of the acorns from flying out when I'm smashing on them. Hopefully you'll get to see that. Shouldn't take too long here, just need to finish pounding up this. Oops, I'm trying to record on another camera as well here, so sorry, I'm a little distracted. Been running out of daylight real quick lately, ever since daylight saving time. But if need be, I have a artificial light. So I'll get this down to a real good powder. I actually don't like this mortar very much. I feel like the pestle is too small for it. This is one I bought at a store, but I've made several myself. I just like to use this one just for charcoal since I do it a lot, and it gets dirty. Okay, I think what I'm actually going to do is sift this out a little bit, get those larger particles out of here. Here's some acorn meal that I ground up during the last live. This is basically just continuing the work from that. Here's your powdered charcoal. And you see those large particles are kind of gonna be easy to make fly out. Although I feel like it's gonna get my basket needing a wash. See those large particles popping out? Easy as that. Maybe shake it around a little bit and get some more out. Don't want to take too much though. Make sure I have enough for the pitch. There we go. Nice and finely powdered. Thanks, Grayson. Yeah, that's one of my coolest knives. Yeah, I made a whole bunch, but really only if you have those thin slabs is it easy to make one quite that sick. It's not as finely ground as I want it, but it doesn't need to be perfect for this little project. I need a whole lot of it. I thought I had enough yesterday, and it threw me off. Yeah, I need to wash this basket now, though, that charcoal. Crap. Now messes everywhere. Okay, let's check on this pine pitch. Oh, shit. So this is that melted pine pitch with about a quarter beeswax. I have about the same volume powdered charcoal that I'm putting in. It smells really good. Ooh, it's bubbling. I think because I have so much beeswax in there, I usually don't see it bubble quite that much. It's gonna make a mess here, isn't it? What's that saying? Bubble, bubble, coil, and trouble. Something about a cauldron. Okay, nice, looking very good. Oh yes, it is very sticky. Yeah, thanks for liking and subscribing. This is also what you use to tar and feather your enemies in medieval days. Because it's so sticky. Oh, I'm not recording on my other camera. Now it's going to need to cool down before I can really use it. But I don't want it to cool down too much because you have to apply it hot. So the way it's easily stored and used, I don't know if this is super historical, but I know a lot of modern primitive skills guys do this. You put it on the end of a stick and you kind of form it into a ball. It kind of takes a while to build up. It's very convenient for application, but these are the sticks that I was previously using. You dip it in, let it cool, then dip it in again, let it cool, and just keep doing that until you build up a nice ball. It's easier to do when it's a little more cool because it gets more viscous and you can dip up larger chunks of it. But I'll probably make a couple of those right now, and then I'll use that to apply to this. But I'm actually tempted to break these off, and yeah, you know what? I'm gonna do that. because I didn't have that much. I was trying to stretch the pine pitch last time, and it formed this kind of unusable, clumpy masses. And I think I actually want to widen this a little bit too, so it has this sort of a rim, and I think I need to take this off in order to fit it to my stone mortar. So this is what I spent the last 2 evenings making, and then yesterday ground up some acorns for the first time on it. But I'll need to clean off the edges. There's some lingering acorn meal in there. I want this to be able to stick. Just recycling this. Yeah, this pitch mix is also just way too brittle. I'm not sure if I put any beeswax in this mix, because I was using it to haft arrowheads, and I kind of like that to be a little bit more stiff, because I don't want it to shift around. I want it to be very... I forgot about these. I need to keep on dipping these in to build up the pitch balls. And so once those are like a ball, you can just warm them by the fire and like use this directly on to like drip it on whatever you're working on. It's very convenient. But I haven't seen much about the historical use of that. I'm sure it has some historical precedent. And this method I'm using with the acorns is very historical for California natives' acorn processing methods. So the acorns comprise, in many areas, about half of the diet of California natives historically. So every other calorie was coming from acorns. So they have a good industry and very well recorded historical methods of acorn processing, unlike many other areas of the world, like Texas. So this allows you to make your mortar doesn't need to be that deep. So 1, it's less work to make. 2, you can get the acorn meal out easier. I actually need to make a little grass brush to brush it out, and it prevents the acorns from flying out as you're pounding. But I think I need to remove this little thing. Let's see if I got a... I don't know if you can see me this well right here. looking pretty good, actually. Pretty good. Let me trim that up a little bit. So you can see this pitch getting thicker now. It's easier to have it adhere to these sticks. Be right back. Sorry about that. This pitch is looking a little grainy, I think, because I didn't grind up the charcoal super fine, but that's okay for this project. Okay, then let's trim this up a little bit. the longer I do flint knapping and Paleolithic technology, the more I appreciate just a simple flake. I think a lot of people have the impression, and I had this impression for a long time, that most flint tools that were used were first worked. You know, you gotta nap the thing into the right shape and everything, but made a whole bow and arrow and all sorts of stuff using nothing but stone tools, and more often than not I'm using just simply a random flake that happens to be the right shape, because more efficient. First of all, each flake is going to be sharper than a napped edge, because you can get a very nice thin tapering feathered edge, and just being able to choose through my pile of debitage from napping allows me to select pretty much any imaginable shaped knife with any sort of edge profile that I want. Like right here, I need something that has got an edge that's the same width of this, where it's flat and sharp. And that one actually wasn't that great for it, but I got a lot more to choose from over here. There we go. Flint knapping is necessary for making something like an arrowhead, though, because it has to be a very specific shape to enter the flesh, and needs to be aerodynamic and fitted to the arrow very nicely, or just anything that calls for very specific overall shapes and not just the shape of the edge. Okay, that pitch has gotten real goopy now. This is about where I want to start working with it. That looks pretty good. I think what I'll do is I'll apply the pitch along the outside of this. And let's just start with it. I think if I heat it up by the fire, that pitch should kind of melt down. But let's go ahead and try to stick a little bit more on there. Okay, looking good. I think I had just enough. Now what I'm going to do is set this by the fire and allow it to sort of melt. And oh, that's already pretty good stuck on there. I want to be able to bash it. Let me build up the fire a little bit. If it didn't already go out. So try putting some coals right next to it. Dang, y'all can't see anything, can you? Actually, let's just put it upwind. I think that'll be safe. Maybe apply a little bit of water to the basket, but probably not too necessary. Need a little better flame than that. That's hot. That's hot, says the man picking up a coal from a fire. Oops, lost it. Ooh, this stick is working real good. Oops. Oh, it was. Get one more on there. Oops. feels pretty firm. Let's see if I can just get a little bit of a diffuse heat. Once it's down to coals, and that should be it. Ouch. Ow. Boy. Well, I think that'll do it for the hopper. Let's see. Where is this? Oh, sorry, it's real dark now. I have another light. Dang, I'm still recording on this. Huh, I didn't miss anything. Well, let's see if I can rig up a light to finish up here. What's gonna be behind me? I need a tall something. See, it's pretty firmly attached, but it should be also fairly simple to remove and reattach. I think using a sort of flaming brand would be the way to go. I'm sorry about the harsh light angles. I need a light on like a pole. So I'll show you how this helps with the acorn grinding. These are chinkapin oak acorns, quirks from Limburgia. These are the kernels after I've removed the shells, and these are nice because the usually have a little. Oops, I'm sorry. Mic, I forgot. These are chinkapin oak acorns, and you'll see why I made this hopper basket now. That's probably a good amount for now. Let me get the pestle. I'm seeing this flickering from this LED light. I'm sorry if the light's flickering. Paleo King, hell yeah, thanks. I try. At best, Paleo Duke, but one day. can see a lot of these acorns would be flying out if it weren't for that little basket. Still a little bit flying out, but the most comes out at the earliest stages when there's still whole kernels. Last time without the hopper basket, I could only do about half the amount of kernels, and even that I had to like hold my hand over it and constantly prevent it from flying out. I'll need to start doing these earlier in the day, the way it's getting dark so quick out here. There's better lighting. I'm still losing some pieces here. Pay attention. When they fly it, I can't see them. I'm just gonna forget filming with that one. I have a really deep, tall mortar, which I made for mesquite beans. But the problem with that is it's not hard enough. The mortar's made out of black willow wood, which is pretty soft, and the pestle's mesquite, which is really hard, but you just can't grind up these acorns into a fine powder. And also just the graininess of it, like it having cracks and stuff, the meal is getting caught in little cracks. And this, oh no, the whole thing just popped off. I probably didn't prepare this surface well enough, huh? I just should have paid more attention to that. But that's okay, because we still have like a nice seal formed by that. In fact, it might even be better this way, because it melted down to be a sort of flat surface, you can see. Just sit very nicely and flush. That's all we need it to do. This might be pretty boring in the dark here, but I'll try to hit the hour mark before I cut off the stream. I am thinking about now if I should make an even bigger hopper basket. But then I would need a longer pestle as well, because this is just the height where it's still comfortable for me to hold this one. At this point, I'm not losing much to flying out, but it's a little bit annoying at the beginning. I also might start doing a preliminary grinding in the big mortar, the wood one, and then once they're smaller pieces, dump it into this one for the fine grinding. In fact, that's probably the most efficient way overall. stage. It's already, pretty good. Plenty of powdered stuff in there, but also plenty of big chunks. And it has a nice nutty, sweet smell and taste, really. This Chinkapin Oaks is real good. No, I'm not really getting tired. It's maybe a little boring, but it's fun. There's a lot harder work to do out there, and believe me, I've done it. This is a pretty good exercise, Get your working the forearms, the shoulders a bit. What was really tiring though is making this pestle. I mean the mortar. I mean, not like super strenuous, but just quite literally a grind, because using another stone to grind against it with sand in the middle it only took like probably 2.5 hours of work total, or maybe about 3 hours of work. But then you use another stone even bigger than this one to just gradually peck out this hole. So that definitely had me sweating. But cooler weather is nice. Normally when I do work in the summer in my backyard, I'm just streaming sweat constantly. It's hard to get around. I do like to switch hands every once in a while though, because it gets time. Right. Kind of like the shoulder gets a little tired. Just reaching the point now where I'm gonna dump it out and sort the larger particles out. I'm about to hit an arrow. Let's see if I can just do that before I finish up here. So you can see the general whole process. Yeah, this worked great. I think I'll just work a little bit on getting it more firmly attached if needed, but I don't think it really needs to be attached. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, dang, I need another basket. I can use, this one's got charcoal all in it. I need this one. let's see here. Can put this in something else. Here, I'll just put this in this. I'm trying to keep the acorns separated by species, because I want to evaluate which species is best. But I'll just keep those separated. And then I can't use that, but I'll dump this out. This is the previous acorn meal that I made. And we're gonna dump this into this one. Whole nother basket. Well, it doesn't matter now. And so the finest part of the meal is left clinging to the basket, and we'll regrind that and add this to our ground meal. To get it out of all those little creases, you just give it a whack. Don't need to use a tomahawk, this is just the closest thing I had. Voila. I'll put this back in to regrind. You know what? I better finish this whole batch. I don't want to have to leave unground stuff in the mortar. Yeah, I made this tomahawk. Pretty thick, right? This is from some local flint. What is this wood? I think mesquite is the wood. And what I did is split the end and then carved it out a little bit to the point where the wood was slightly flexible. Bent it over, put a bunch of that pine pitch around it and all the grooves and down to here. And then you put that in, and then you use this this is actually artificial sinew, so it's actually just nylon thread. I used to use this stuff a lot, but I stopped using it. I want to use real sinew, but it was really convenient for this because sometimes it's harder to find longer sections of sinew, and this one needs some pretty long stuff to wrap around. Got the blue jay feathers in the back, or what is this? Probably a scrub jay. Attached with some copper links, little hand thing. Yeah, it's fun. Finish this up. I gotta drink water here. finish this up real quick. Actually, I think I might take this off at this stage so I can see better and get a little bit better angles. It's still a little bit of risk of it flying out without that hopper, but not nearly as much as before. I can just sweep it back in. Here's another mortar technique that sometimes it's good to do a little bit of both. This might be a little too full to be doing that one with, though. Yeah, those are, anytime I see some cool feathers out in nature, I pick them up, and I have a collection of all sorts of the feathers of all sorts of birds, but those jay feathers are some of the nicest because they have blue. Sometimes you find blue and striped ones. I have some cardinal ones, two little red ones. Am I in the garden? Are you British? If so, yes. But I'm in my backyard. British people, I guess they call their yards gardens, I think, or maybe that's a European thing in general. In the US, we just call it gardens where food is being actually grown, or not just food, I suppose, ornamental, just specifically for plant growth beds. But I'm in my backyard. I do a lot of my work here. Unfortunately, got a lot of street noise, though. I hope to be moving sometime in the spring. Live in a place that's a little bit quieter with more nature, especially because there's like a 40-acre greenbelt right across the creek from me in this neighborhood, and it was recently totally bulldozed to make way for new development. There's no need to bulldoze it either. It was just all in a drainage zone and flood zone, and part of it was even city parkland. But developers are just like, well, let's just clear everything. But I spend a lot of time in my backyard. Probably about time to sort some more of this out, because as it gets less and less efficient, the more that's already been finely ground. I need like a brush to get this stuff out, though, efficiently. for a different pestle also. This one doesn't, it's kind of an odd shape. It needs to be a little bit flatter bottomed. Oops, I got a piece of grass in there. I actually never watch any live streams myself. I haven't really done that. So I don't know what other people are live streaming. It's probably a lot more interesting than this. Literally just hitting rocks together like a caveman. But, you know, I can say things. I have words. But I figured, you know, spend time every day doing this kind of stuff. Especially at this time, we're processing a lot of stuff that I've already forged. So might as well set up my phone. Maybe people are interested. It's actually kind of nice, a little something to distract me, because it's boring. I'm not live streaming for you, I'm live streaming for me. Although I don't really get much engagement, but I appreciate the ones that I have, for sure. Might be the last batch, or maybe one more round with the last little straggling pieces. Oh, there's my kitty. Maybe she'll come show herself. Like I need one last little round of grinding, unfortunately. Oops. Was I recording? Okay. What's up, Grayson? Welcome back. I'm almost done here. Got this, the last round of grinding. I've just been grinding the kernels and then sorting out the larger particles and regrinding those. I don't know where you were at the last stage, but took off the mortar. Once it's more ground down, you don't really need it anymore. It's just for the earlier stages when stuff's flying everywhere. And really, this probably seems like a lot of work for not much food, which is true. But historically, this would be done in groups and in large batches. And like when you're putting in, when you sort it, the unground particles, you don't put those back into just a small amount like this. You put them in with some more, and you have like a whole, what do you call it, rotation going, where you're adding more kernels, taking out the ground up stuff occasionally, and then just sorting it. But I think that's probably about good for this little batch. Looks like a few little not fully ground stuff hanging on there, but I'm not going to worry about that because it's really only worth putting into another batch if I'm going to. But I'll just sort those out because this all still needs to be leached, and that's just letting cold water percolate through it in order to remove the tannins, what makes it kind of bitter. But to do that most efficiently, you want it to be nice and finely ground. Et voila. There we go. Got a little bit of the acorn meal here. Let's put it all back in this. That's good stuff. Very nutritious. A lot of carbs, proteins, and fats. And there we go. That's all I've got in me this evening. It's already well past dark, but I've got my beautiful acorn meal. I'll give it a taste. Even without liching, it's actually really good. It's like sweet and nutty. Dang, I don't know. I do taste a little aftertaste, like a little bit of tannin, but I think just like one round of leaching will be enough for this. Anyway, thanks for watching, y'all. It was only my second live stream. I'll probably do more, but appreciate everyone for watching, commenting, and check if you haven't seen my channel. Check it out. I have a ton of videos about all this sort of stuff. So anyway, take it easy, guys. Have a good night.